Lillian Stone stepped into the gleaming lobby of Novatech Innovations just as the morning sun filtered through the towering glass facade. Sweat still dampened her collar and clung faintly to her blonde ponytail. She had squeezed in a quick 5-mile run before catching the subway, trading high heels for worn sneakers and a simple navy tank top paired with black leggings. Her backpack felt lighter than usual, only essentials for the day ahead. Around her, the atmosphere pulsed with a different energy. Employees in crisp button-downs, tailored pants, and polished shoes moved briskly, their eyes flickering toward Lillian with barely concealed curiosity. There was an unmistakable buzz beneath the surface, whispers, subtle glances, and the occasional raised brow at her casual, almost disheveled appearance. Lillian's shoes clicked softly on the pristine tile as she passed the open-plan workspace. Glass desks shimmered under the sun, computers hummed, and screens flashed complex streams of code. A trio of programmers exchanged sideways looks while a few interns tried to stifle amused smirks. To them, she was clearly not one of them, not yet. Mark Benton, the established IT lead known for his sharp wit and razor-edge confidence, spotted her from across the room. His dark suit was immaculate, his posture oozing authority. A slow, smug smile curved his lips as he strode over, eyeing her from head to toe. "So, you're the new trainee," he said, voice laced with sarcasm. "Looked like more of a gym rat. Well, I have a simple task for you then. Go fetch the new software installation disks from storage. They're in the back, next to the server racks." The surrounding employees paused, waiting to see how the newcomer would respond, as if the next few moments might confirm the order of things. Lillian's lips curved into a mild smile, her eyes steady and unfazed by Mark Benton's dismissive tone. "Right away," she said softly, with no hint of challenge or correction, her voice smooth and even as a still lake. Without waiting for his approval, she pivoted on her heel and began walking toward the direction opposite to where Mark had instructed. Her strides were calm, purposeful, unhurried, leaving behind a ripple of startled whispers trailing in her wake. Passers-by exchanged glances as she moved confidently through the maze of glass partitions and sleek desks. The murmurs grew, notes of confusion and surprise coloring the air. Why wasn't she fetching disks? What was going on? Lillian ignored the murmurs, her mind focused on the next steps. She was headed not to the storage room, but to the HR office, a place she knew awaited her arrival. That was where she belonged today, not relegated to menial errands. At the HR department, situated just off a quiet hallway lined with polished wood paneling, Lillian paused briefly before knocking on the door. It opened promptly to reveal Emily Ross, the senior HR manager, a warm woman in her early 40s, known for her calm demeanor and sharp organizational skills. Emily's smile broadened as she stood, extending a welcoming hand. "Lillian, welcome," Emily greeted, pulling the door fully open. "We've been expecting you. Come in." Inside the modest but tastefully decorated office, the hum of the busier spaces faded. Lillian set down her backpack, smoothed the wrinkles in her leggings, and took a seat across from Emily's desk. The air between them was at once professional and friendly, as Emily began to speak. "We're thrilled to have you on board as the new Chief Technology Officer," Emily said, her voice warm but authoritative. "The board made the decision last week. We're counting on your leadership to steer our tech division into the future." Lillian nodded, eyes bright but composed. "Thank you. I'm eager to get started." Emily leaned in slightly. "Mark Benton's already causing a little stir. You should know, he assumed you were an intern, or worse." She shook her head ruefully. Didn't expect anyone to challenge him so quickly. Lillian's smile tightened, but she gave nothing away. "I understand. Sometimes, appearances can be misleading. Back in the open workspace, Mark's audible laughter broke across the IT department as he regaled his colleagues, the senior developers and a handful of eager interns, with the story. Standing proudly by his monitor, he recounted his encounter with the woman who arrived in workout gear, carrying nothing but a water bottle. "I told her straight up, go grab the software disks. No hesitation. She nodded and turned on her heel as if she had no clue what she was getting into." Mark's chest puffed with false pride. "Handled it like a pro, I'd say." His audience smirked, some nodding in approval, others with raised eyebrows. There was something off, a current of uncertainty under their amused expressions. From a corner desk, a young developer named Jessie exchanged a glance with her teammate, Tom. Jessie doubted this was all there was to the story. "Do you think she's really a trainee?" she whispered. Tom shrugged minutely. "Something doesn't add up." But they said no more, caught in the swirl of the workplace dynamics, waiting for the next move. Meanwhile, Lillian returned to her backpack, pulling out documents and a tablet to review plans Emily handed over. They discussed ongoing projects, critical deadlines, and the company's immediate technical challenges. Lillian listened intently, taking notes and asking pointed questions that noted her understanding and strategic thinking. Emily explained how Mark had overseen the department for the past 5 years, often favoring routine over innovation. "Your mandate is to shake things up. The company needs more agility, fresh vision. That's why they brought you here." Lillian absorbed this quietly, her expression steady, ready to meet the challenge. "Change can be unsettling, but necessary. I intend to earn the team's trust through action and results, not just titles." Emily smiled approvingly. "That's the spirit. There's a staff meeting scheduled for this afternoon. You'll make your official introduction there. It's time the team understands who you really are." Lillian's gaze hardened just a bit, but her voice remained soft. "Understood." Throughout the morning, as Lillian prepared beside Emily, the office buzzed with undercurrents of speculation. Mark, in particular, seemed more arrogant by the minute, circulating among the team with a sense of false triumph. His tale of dismissing that new trainee had elevated his status temporarily, and yet, a subtle ripple of doubt had crept into some listeners' minds. The interns, usually a boisterous group, had gone quiet, exchanging furtive looks. It was clear that something about Lillian's poise and the warmth from HR suggested this was not a typical first-day story. But the doubt was fragile, tentative, still buried beneath Mark's blustering confidence. In her brief moments alone before the meeting, Lillian reflected briefly on her choice to arrive in gym clothes. It wasn't a mistake. She had run in the park near her hotel, determined to keep her routine intact despite the nerve-wracking day ahead. More than that, she had wanted to arrive incognito, to get a glimpse of the unfiltered culture, to observe people's reactions to someone who wasn't visually what they expected. That had been a calculated risk, one that had immediately revealed Mark's dismissiveness, and now, it was a foundation on which she would build her authority. The afternoon sun streamed through the expansive windows as Lillian stood ready in the main conference room. Slowly, the IT team and other employees began filtering in, drawn by the announcement that would, no doubt, clarify her true role. Mark arrived last, a confident grin playing at the corner of his mouth, still sure of the joke he thought he was living. He took his usual place among the senior developers, leaning back as if to settle in and watch the show. But the show was about to begin, and it would not be the one Mark had imagined. The conference room buzzed with quiet chatter as employees clustered in groups, forming loose circles around the sleek, oval table that dominated the space. Floor-to-ceiling windows let in the afternoon light, illuminating polished wood and chrome fixtures, creating an almost theatrical atmosphere. People pulled chairs out and settled in, their murmurs fading into a soft hum, punctuated by the occasional soft click of laptops opening or fingers tapping keyboards. At the front of the room, beside the large screen mounted on the wall, sat Lillian Stone, calm, poised, and dressed simply in a crisp white button-up shirt and smart black trousers. Gone was the gym attire. This was a woman who meant business. Her blonde hair was neatly pulled back, eyes bright yet composed, scanning the room with ease as she waited for the moment to begin. Employees shuffled in, the last few stragglers, including Mark Benton, who entered last. His confident stride carried an unmistakable air of superiority, his jaw was set, and a smug smirk played at his lips. He scanned the room, apparently amused by the gathering, and when his gaze landed on Lillian at the head of the table, a flicker of confusion crossed his face. His smirk faltered. Lillian caught his eye for a brief moment and returned a steady, measured look. Mark's eyebrows knitted in a brief furrow, then shot up sharply, his smirk replaced by a stunned silence. A low murmur rippled through the crowd as curiosity and disbelief spread. Mark's voice, usually sharp and confident, wavered as he asked, You're the new CTO?" Lillian's smile was calm but firm. "Yes, Mark. I'm the new Chief Technology Officer. I'm here to lead the IT department and redefine our technological strategies to support the company's growth and innovation." A collective intake of breath swept the room. Eyes shifted from Mark to Lillian, the staff exchanging looks of surprise and reflection. Few had imagined the seemingly casual newcomer was in fact the top executive in charge of their entire technology division. The effect was immediate. Jessica, one of the interns, leaned over to her colleague Tom, whispering, "I didn't expect someone dressed so casually to have that kind of authority." Tom nodded slowly. "Seems like Mark really misjudged her." Mark's face reddened, the confidence draining rapidly as a palpable awkwardness settled over him. His earlier bravado was nowhere to be found. He looked around the room as if searching for an escape, but the seats were all filled with attentive colleagues. The tables had turned. Lillian stood and crossed to the front of the room, her voice steady and clear as she addressed everyone. "I want to be upfront with you all. My choice to come in this morning dressed casually wasn't an oversight or a lack of respect for this company. It was intentional, to observe how our team interacts when rank and appearance don't influence behavior." Some eyebrows rose in surprise, others shifted uncomfortably in their seats. There was an edge of honesty in her words that cut through the usual corporate facades. She continued, "Our strength here lies not in titles or clothes but in our combined skills, our ideas, and our willingness to collaborate openly. I plan to lead by example, valuing merit and innovation above all else." She paused, eyes sweeping across faces filled with a mix of curiosity and growing respect. Mark cleared his throat, attempting to reclaim some authority. "Well, I think some of us can handle the work just fine without leadership that hides behind unconventional attire." Lillian turned to him without hesitation. "Mark, leadership is about substance, not style. I appreciate your commitment to this team, but I also expect professionalism and respect moving forward. We're here to build something lasting." The room settled, the energy shifting. Whispers of support blossomed into nods and murmurs of agreement. The team was beginning to see a new order, a new tone. At that moment, Emily Ross, the HR manager, stepped forward to introduce Lillian to the assembled staff formally. "Lillian comes with a distinguished background," Emily began, her voice carrying authority. She previously spearheaded the digital transformation of Nexus Corp, a major multinational, and has been recognized for pioneering several patents in artificial intelligence and cloud computing. Her appointment as CTO is a strategic move to propel us into the next phase of technological innovation. The weight of those credentials settled over the room, and heads lifted, eyes attentive. Lillian added, My focus will be on fostering collaboration and driving innovation that aligns with our company's core values. I expect open communication and respect for all contributions, regardless of position." She seemed to embody those principles herself, radiating quiet strength and confidence that filled the room. Mark remained seated, now visibly unsettled, his posture stiffening as the reality of his misjudgment sank in. The staff around him seemed to exchange furtive glances, some quietly reaffirming their loyalty to Lillian's leadership. Toward the end of the meeting, Lillian spoke to the team about the immediate priorities, reviewing current projects, streamlining workflows, and embracing agile methodologies, steps designed to improve efficiency and bring fresh ideas forward. She also announced a series of workshops and team-building exercises aimed at strengthening communication and breaking down silos. Her tone was direct but fair, focusing on collective success rather than individual fault. When the meeting concluded, the room remained abuzz. Employees gathered in animated conversations, their expressions reflecting a mixture of excitement and cautious optimism. The atmosphere had palpably shifted from initial skepticism to invigorated attention. Mark lingered near the exit, hesitating before slipping out quietly. His usual swagger was replaced by pensiveness, weighing the implications of the afternoon. Jesse, the intern who had exchanged looks with Tom earlier, approached Lillian hesitantly. "It's a bit intimidating," she admitted, "but I think this is exactly what the department needs." Lillian smiled, a flicker of warmth behind her composed exterior. Change often feels that way in the beginning. But with time, it becomes progress. I'm here to make sure it does. As the last of the employees left the conference room, Lillian gathered her tablet and notes, feeling the weight and promise of her new role settle comfortably around her shoulders. The moment was a turning point, not just for her, but for the entire team she was now guiding. The conference room gradually emptied, leaving behind a lingering buzz that seemed to pulse with the dramatic reversal everyone had witnessed. Lillian Stone remained standing at the front, her posture steady and purposeful, radiating a quiet confidence that settled over the space like a new rhythm asserting itself. The smiling faces and tentative nods among her colleagues spoke of a shift. This wasn't merely a figurehead or rival, but someone who carried real weight. Emily Ross stayed behind a moment longer, then stepped forward to address the crowd still lingering in small clusters. "Before you all head back to your desks, allow me to add a few words about Lillian's background and what she brings to Novatech Innovations." Her voice took on a tone both respectful and proud, capturing the team's attention once more. Lillian has an impressive track record. She led the complete digital transformation of Nexus Corp, a global leader in telecommunications, where she improved operational efficiency by 30% within 2 years, implementing agile workflows and spearheading cloud infrastructure development. She has published influential research on artificial intelligence and holds 3 patents in machine learning algorithms currently used in industry. Her gaze swept over the group, letting the magnitude of such achievements settle firmly in their minds. She's led teams across 3 continents, navigating complex challenges and delivering innovative solutions on tight timelines. Emily's voice softened a touch. Her appointment as CTO is not just about changing titles, it's about infusing the company with fresh perspective and strategic direction. One by one, the murmurs softened into respectful silence, and Lillian was invited to speak again. She stepped forward, her eyes calm yet piercing with purpose. "I want to share something personal," she began, her voice steady but warm. "I believe in leading with humility and authenticity. This morning, when I arrived in gym clothes, I wasn't making a fashion statement or trying to shake things up for the sake of it. I had just finished a long run and chose not to change because I wanted to experience this day exactly as it unfolded, without any veneer or facade." Some exchanged surprised looks, but the sincerity in her tone conveyed conviction. "I wanted to observe how we engage when we don't know each other's formal roles, how respect and professionalism hold up beneath first impressions. Her gaze softened. Too often, titles and appearances overshadow what really matters: skills, ideas, and willingness to collaborate. I want to foster a culture where every voice is valued. She paused briefly, scanning the room, before continuing in a crisp, businesslike tone. That said, I also expect that we all uphold standards of professionalism and treat one another with courtesy. Respect is the foundation, not a given. For a moment, an electric quiet filled the room, an unspoken agreement forming with her words. Turning to practical matters, she pulled her tablet closer and tapped a few commands, summoning a presentation slide detailing the company's current technology roadmap. Our immediate challenges include integrating new cloud services without disrupting ongoing projects, improving security protocols to protect sensitive data, and accelerating development cycles to meet market demands, she said, voice firm but inviting input. I want to work closely with team leads and frontline developers alike to devise solutions that are innovative and pragmatic. She laid out upcoming initiatives aimed at increasing collaboration: weekly cross-functional brainstorming sessions, open forums for sharing ideas, and a mentorship program designed to cultivate junior staff. Pausing, she added, I also want you to know that I value transparency. I'm accessible and intend to visit different teams regularly to understand challenges firsthand. The room's atmosphere shifted palpably as the words settled. The early mocks and snide remarks evaporated, replaced by a readiness to embrace this new leadership with open minds. A hand rose near the back, Tom, the young developer who had quietly observed the unfolding events. How do you plan to balance innovation with the team's current workload? We have several critical deadlines coming up. Lillian smiled, appreciating the question. Great point, Tom. Innovation isn't about piling on work without regard to feasibility. It's about smart prioritization and eliminating bottlenecks. We'll look at workflow optimization and make sure resources are allocated effectively to minimize burnout. Another employee, Jesse, ventured cautiously, what about communication? Sometimes messages get lost in the hustle. I completely agree, Lillian replied. That's why I want to establish clear channels and encourage regular updates. No one should feel out of the loop. The session extended organically into a low-key discussion, with employees asking questions and offering suggestions. Lillian listened attentively, occasionally jotting notes, her responses thoughtful and direct. She didn't shy away from admitting she was new here, emphasizing that building trust would take time but was essential. After the meeting concluded, Emily Ross approached Lillian privately. You handled that beautifully. Your backstory and approach really resonated. Thanks, Emily, Lillian said quietly. It's important to me that everyone understands why I came in the way I did, and that I'm here to listen, not just command. Emily smiled knowingly. I think you'll find the team is eager for exactly that kind of leadership. Later, as the day gave way to early evening, Lillian took a moment in her new office, a minimalist space overlooking the city skyline. She reflected on the unusual unfolding of her arrival. The casual attire had been a gamble, but it revealed more than just a facade. It exposed the dynamics within the company, the unexamined biases, and the potential for change. She pulled out her phone and tapped a message to a trusted former colleague at Nexus Corporation. First day went well. The challenge is real, but the opportunity is bigger. Her thoughts were interrupted by a gentle knock. Emily popped her head in. If you need anything, just say. Lillian smiled. I appreciate that. The next morning, reports circulated quietly among staff about Mark Benton's discomfort and the palpable shift in office atmosphere. His once commanding tone had softened, and overheard conversations mentioned that he'd been called into a one-on-one meeting with HR. The rumor mill spun quickly, but among most employees, respect, and curiosity toward their new CTO grew steadily. Lillian's deliberate transparency, modest appearance, and commanding competence had reset expectations. Throughout the following days, Lillian maintained her steady presence, walking through workstations, engaging team members, and quietly dismantling old hierarchies embedded in the workplace culture. Her leadership was practical yet empathetic, firm but open to input. She championed merit over image, ideas over posturing. The ripple effects were already noticeable, the energy in the offices felt renewed, and productivity metrics showed early signs of improvement. In a brief moment of solitude, she reviewed notes from the day's discussions, challenges that needed immediate attention, long-term goals, personnel strengths and weaknesses. It was clear leadership was not merely about titles or credentials, it was about continual, meaningful engagement. Her choice to arrive unassuming had been a statement. It revealed truths about the workplace, and set the tone for what was to come, a culture grounded in respect, driven by innovation, and led by someone unwilling to accept superficial judgments. Day by day, Lillian Stone was changing the shape of Novatech innovations, one decision, one interaction, one mindset at a time. The atmosphere in Novatech Innovations' IT department had shifted dramatically in the days following Lillian Stone's official introduction as Chief Technology Officer. The casual snickering and subtle dismissiveness that had accompanied her arrival dissolved almost overnight, replaced by respectful nods, open conversations, and genuine curiosity. The workforce had begun to realign its focus, recalibrating expectations under Lillian's steady leadership. But not everyone adjusted as quickly as the others. Mark Benton's position had become increasingly untenable. Once the dominant voice in the department, his arrogance and habitual underestimation now left him isolated, a man unmoored from the crew he had once led. The turning point came during an urgent project briefing. Lillian had assembled the senior developers and team leads in the sleek conference room to address critical security updates vital to the company's expansion into new markets. Mark, typically vocal and invasive during such gatherings, was noticeably subdued. Twice he attempted to interject with brusque comments, but Lillian's calm yet firm responses effectively curbed his interruptions. Later that afternoon, a formal summons from Human Resources arrived on Mark's desk, a discreet but unmistakable signal. He knew what awaited him before reading the message: a meeting with Emily Ross, the seasoned HR manager who had quickly become Lillian's trusted ally. Mark entered the HR office with a mixture of defiance and unease. Emily regarded him with steady professionalism, conveying neither anger nor condescension, just a clear message of accountability. "Mark," she began, "your attitude and the recent incidents have raised concerns." Dismissing Lillian Stone on her first day was not only disrespectful but also indicative of a larger pattern of behavior that undermines teamwork and morale. Mark shifted uncomfortably but held his ground. "She wasn't wearing appropriate attire. How was I supposed to take her seriously as a leader dressed like that?" Emily's expression was kind but resolute. "Leadership and professionalism are not measured by clothing. Your conduct violated company policy regarding respect among colleagues. Because this is a serious matter, we're placing you on a probation period and relieving you of some key supervisory duties. Your focus will shift to individual support tasks while you work through a mandatory professional development program." Mark's jaw clenched, but the words were clear and final. This was no reprimand to be shrugged off. Back out in the open workspace, word spread quickly. Employees who had once whispered about Mark's arrogance now observed a more subdued figure moving quietly among cubicles, no longer barking orders or overshadowing others. The transition fostered an unexpected change of demeanor. Mark, though reluctant, began participating more constructively in meetings and showed tentative signs of listening. The isolation and the gentle but firm demands of his new role encouraged a modicum of reflection, even if grudging at first. Meanwhile, Lillian's influence grew palpably. She organized small group sessions to engage directly with developers and support staff, listening carefully to concerns and ideas. Her demeanor was steady, neither domineering nor distant, encouraging honest dialogue. The respect she earned was genuine. People spoke openly about her straightforward communication style and her commitment to balancing innovation with achievable goals. Team members felt heard for the first time in years, and motivation bloomed. In one of her rounds, Lillian approached Mark's desk, noticing him focused on troubleshooting a stubborn software error. The air between them was charged yet not hostile. "Mark," she said quietly, "I understand this shift hasn't been easy. But I value your experience and knowledge. There is space here for you to contribute if you choose to embrace collaboration and growth." Mark met her gaze, conflicted but respectful. After a pause, he nodded once, curtly. "Thank you." That brief exchange marked a subtle thawing, a pivot toward professional civility that hadn't existed before. Across the office, whispers of the transformation were growing. Junior developers and interns, once reluctant to voice opinions, now felt empowered by Lillian's approachable presence. Cross-functional communication improved noticeably. Project timelines began to accelerate, and the integration of new technologies moved ahead without previous friction. One afternoon, Mark sought Lillian out in her office, closing the door behind him. The room, minimalist and bright, seemed a world away from the tension-laden atmosphere where he'd once held sway. "I wanted to apologize for my behavior," he said quietly. "My attitude was out of line, and I underestimated you. I'm willing to learn and contribute, if you'll have me." Lillian considered him for a moment, her expression unreadable but composed. Finally, she nodded. "An apology takes courage, Mark. I believe in second chances, but it requires commitment. Let's work together toward that." He offered a faint, relieved smile, a gesture of respect more than camaraderie. As the weeks passed, Lillian's presence became the cornerstone of the IT department's renewed vigor. She walked the halls with quiet authority, approachable yet unmistakably in charge. Employees greeted her with earnest smiles and engaged discussions rather than guarded skepticism. She maintained an open-door policy, welcoming feedback and fostering a culture where ideas flowed freely regardless of rank. Her balanced approach, combining high expectations with genuine support, transformed the atmosphere from apprehension to momentum. One day, as afternoon sunlight slanted through the office windows, Lillian paused in the main workspace, observing the focus and energy around her. The team was working cohesively, tools humming and fingers flying across keyboards. She felt the promise of something new taking shape, innovation born not from hierarchy, but from respect and teamwork. Mark sat at his desk nearby, quietly absorbed in a debugging task, no longer the blustering figure he had been days before. Their eyes met briefly, and Lillian offered a nod, not warm, but firm and unambiguous. Mark returned it with a subtle acknowledgement. The tension between them softened to acknowledgement and mutual professionalism. As she continued her walk through the office, the murmurs of approval and gratitude followed. The story of the tech trainee, who was actually the new CTO, had become a symbol, a vivid reminder that judgments based on appearances were flawed and that true leadership came through vision, competence, and the courage to act with integrity. Lillian Stone was no longer an outsider. She was the heart of Novatech's transformation. Her authority was unquestioned, founded on merit and earned respect. The journey ahead was challenging, but she faced it with resolved calm and unwavering confidence. In this moment, walking past rows of focused employees, Lillian carried herself with a self-assured grace, a leader fully in command, guiding not just technology but the culture of a company eager to grow.